Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. You know, if you've ever watched a ballroom competition and wondered how on earth these dancers maintain such flawless poise amid the blinding rhinestones, the blaring music, and, let's be real, the frantic backstage hunt for a missing safety pin, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we are looking right past the sequins to demystify the actual anatomy of a competition day. Because while it might look like pure, unadulterated chaos from the outside, on the inside, it is actually a beautifully structured machine.
There's a saying that walking into a ballroom competition can feel like stepping into a well-orchestrated routine. And honestly, that perfectly captures what we are unpacking today. The glitz, the glamour, the completely flawless footwork, that is really only what happens when the music plays. But behind the scenes, timing, preparation, and intense mental focus matter just as much as the dancing itself. Getting a handle on this hidden routine is absolutely crucial for consistent execution.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. Here is our official schedule for today. We're going to cover 5 main phases. First up, the morning logistics. Then, taking the floor. Third, the art of the reset. Fourth, the climax. And finally, the wind down. This whole journey will take us from those early, super quiet arrivals all the way to the final handshake lines.
All right, kicking things off with Phase 1, the morning logistics, setting the scene before the chaos begins. So, long before that very first waltz or cha-cha, the crucial foundation for the entire day is laid out. Competitors arrive super early to handle check-in, verify all their entry details, and grab their competitor numbers. It's kind of this frantic but highly focused scramble to settle last-minute logistics. Making sure the music is ready, costumes are securely pinned, and partners are perfectly coordinated. While the spectators are just starting to grab their seats in this massive echoing ballroom, the competitors are deliberately using these quiet, often unseen margins of the day to mentally lock in. And that quiet mental review, it quickly shifts into physical preparation. Between rounds and right after check-in, dancers hit their warm-up phase. They're stretching, doing technique drills, and rehearsing very specific elements. We're talking footwork clarity, turns, their frame, and transitions. But here's the real secret weapon during this time: the coaches. Coaches use this specific little window to make highly targeted adjustments. They aren't completely overhauling a routine here, they're just giving tiny posture cues or timing tweaks. It's these brief, almost microscopic refinements that drastically improve a couple's consistency once that official clock actually starts.
Which brings us right to Phase 2, taking the floor. The first heats and that initial burst of energy.
When the competition officially gets going, couples don't just wander out whenever they feel like it. They enter the floor in what are called heats. A heat is simply a specific grouping of couples competing at the exact same time, usually organized by age group or skill division. Now, the thing you gotta know is that these heats move incredibly fast. This means competitors have to listen so closely for their specific calls and plan their timing perfectly to avoid any delays. Trust me, missing a call will completely throw off your mental game before your foot even touches the wood.
Once you're actually out there on that floor, surrounded by pure sensory overload, the loud audience, the crazy lights, the intense atmosphere, the primary goal for the dancers might actually surprise you. The focus is strictly on execution, musicality, and control. The goal is absolutely not to wildly outperform the routine or just invent something completely new on the fly. No way. The goal is clean accuracy and confident presentation. It's all about executing exactly what you practiced and letting your muscle memory take the wheel despite the absolute chaos happening all around you.
But what happens when that music finally stops? Let's move to Phase 3, the art of the reset, highlighting the critical, quiet moments between dances.
This is where dancers have to master a pretty jarring but totally necessary shift. On one side, you have performance mode, intense focus, a huge surge of adrenaline, and a really loud, physically demanding environment. But the literal second they step off the floor, they've got to instantly flip the switch to recovery mode. We're talking rehydrating, fixing hair that's coming loose, adjusting those costumes, and taking a deliberate mental break. Some partners silently review cues, while others literally just take physical space to breathe. If they don't make this immediate conscious shift, they are risking total physical fatigue and massive overstimulation.
And during this quick reset, coaching happens again, but the rules are totally different now. Feedback here has to be exceptionally brief and highly practical. This reset window is absolutely not the time for mid-competition debates or deep philosophical discussions about dance theory. Why? Because adrenaline actually chemically inhibits complex processing. Who knew, right? Dancers are operating on pure instinct and muscle memory at this point.
So coaching notes in this moment have to be quick, actionable cues that can be applied immediately to the very next dance. It is all about staying present.
All right, as the day goes on and couples advance, we enter phase 4, the climax, the physical and mental shifts required for the later rounds. As the event pushes into the semifinals and finals, the pressure just skyrockets. The results tighten up fast, and honestly, the physical exhaustion is really starting to set in. So, to survive these high-stakes later rounds, competitors lean on a very exact, calming, mental routine. First, they breathe to steady their heart rate. Then, they visualize the routine in their mind's eye. They focus only on the first few measures just to get moving, and finally, they stay completely inside the dance. When the pressure is at its absolute highest, you don't look outward at the judges or the crowd, you look inward to your training.
And by the time those final dances roll around, the entire vibe of the environment totally transforms. The frantic rhythm of the venue softens. Spectators really settle into their seats for the grand finale. For the dancers themselves, that sheer adrenaline starts to mix with a profound, quiet sense of relief. Coaches and teammates gather closer to the floor, rallying around the remaining competitors to offer that last bit of support. That intensely isolated feeling from the early rounds just melts away, and the whole thing turns into a wonderfully unified community moment. After the absolute final beat of music stops, we reach our fifth and final phase, the wind-down, awards, reflection, and the final reset.
Now, this phase is about way more than just who gets a trophy. Yes, for sure, there are placements and award announcements, but there are also all those photo moments, the handshake lines, and the quick, super valuable debriefs with coaches. Competitors are packing away their gear and jotting down notes for their next big event. Look, even if a dancer doesn't take the top spot, this post-awards period is gold. It builds deep connections, it shows true sportsmanship, and most importantly, it gives the dancer time to physically and mentally recover after a huge stretch of intense focus.
Arrive, prepare, perform, reset, finish. When you step back and look at this entire progression, you realize something pretty profound. A competition day isn't chaos at all. It's not just some random flurry of sequins, heavy hairspray, and loud music. It is a highly predictable, repeatable cycle. Sure, the minor details, the exact number of heats, or the venue itself might change from event to event. But this core flow, it remains entirely focused on readiness and consistent execution.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Are you ready to master the cycle of consistent execution? Remember, knowing the physical steps of a dance is literally only half the battle. Your timing, your mental preparation in those quiet morning margins, and your absolute focus during those adrenaline-fueled resets, those dictate your success just as much as your footwork. So take a hard look at your own preparation and ask yourself, are you truly competition ready? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.